Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Who is Tendo beyond the dynamic titles?
Tendo is a human being, um, is a creative mind, a social justice campaigner. I'm a lover of art and music and history. I'm a mother of three children, a wife, and my greatest mission is to leave an impact in the world.
Tell us an interesting or unknown fact about yourself.
People think that I am very, I'm an extrovert, I'm extroverted. And I think because I'm a writer and I express myself a lot of people think or feel that they know me. But the truth is, people don't know that I'm actually a very, very private person. Extremely, extremely private.
What have vulnerability and strength taught you, and how have those lessons pushed you forward?
The thing is, at the end of the day, we are all human beings and we all have a vulnerable side to us. And I think people relate more to people who are willing to be vulnerable. So, something like my book, Rough Silk, is a book that I think a lot of people loved, and it has sold as much as it has sold because of the vulnerability in it. It took a lot of courage, which a lot of people cannot. And the relatability of that book comes from the point of I was strong enough to be vulnerable. So, really, the lesson is be yourself, be ready to be judged. You're human. Nobody's expecting you to be a perfect person, to be a doll, to be a mannequin, or whatever. Be yourself. Open yourself to being judged, to being corrected, And I think we also learn. We also learn by by being vulnerable, by bearing ourselves out. People will always come up with suggestions to help you. You can't actually get help if you're not vulnerable, So I think it's a sign of strength. Yeah.
What part of your childhood still shapes the way you lead today?
I think because of the fact that I grew poor, extreme, extreme poor, has shaped how I am today when it comes to money, how I deal with money. I'm not the kind of person who, when I get money, I hold on to it. I spend it. I spend it. And I spend it to the point that I think I've had to have my husband basically just, to control how I save my money. My relationship with money was affected by that poverty. So when a child grows up poor, the relationship with money is going to be affected twice, or rather in two ways. It can make you the kind of person when you get money, you hold on to it. You don't want to spend it because you're afraid it's going to end. Or it affects you to the point, if I survived that with no money, then let me spend my money. So I'm on that other side of when I get money, mine is to spend it. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to buy good things. I'm going to, I'm going to experience life because I've been able to survive without money. So that is one thing about my childhood that has affected me right now. The other thing is, I think I'm a bit of an workaholic. Also, because of that, I fear poverty. I fear poverty so bad that I overwork sometimes. I'm a workaholic, and then I handle a lot of things. People usually ask, how many hours does Tendo have in a day? Because I'll do my main job, I'll do rough silk, I'll do talks, I'll influence for some brands, and all these are revenue streams that are coming to me. So I think because I fear poverty, whenever I see an opportunity to get money, I really go for it.
Did you always envision this path, or did life unfold in unexpected ways?
To be honest with you, the roles that I play right now are nothing that I planned for. When I went to school, my father always wanted me to be a lawyer. And so that is why my degree is in law. Um, but I hated it. I was born a creative. I was born to write. I was born to create. Um, I, when I was in high school, I did painting. I did fine art, and so I used to paint actually for the school. So I think I was born to be a creative, but because the society always tries to box, and I don't blame our parents. I mean, life is very tough, and it's not really about what you feel like doing. It's about what is going to give you some form of stability financially. And so dad wanted me to be a lawyer. I did law, and it was horrendous. I think the first year it was horrendous. And I got a job at my current employer in the legal department, obviously, because of that degree. But I was very uninspired, and so I was moved to operations, and I thrived there because when it comes to operations, every single day is different. There's just so many challenges. There's no predictability. And then I think I did operations for a while. I moved now to sales because my boss said I'm a better salesperson than I am even at operations. And so that is how now I'm a head of commercial, basically dealing with sales, retention, customer service, and all that.
How do your different roles come together to shape your vision for empowering women, especially in a male dominated field?
When it comes to logistics, especially, you'll find that it's very male dominated when it comes to the drivers, when it comes to the people handling the equipments, when it comes to the port. I think it has a lot to do with the nature of the job. But so you'll find that when it comes to logistics, a lot of the jobs that women are given are clerical, receptionist, really not the people who are making things move. And so that is why we saw a need to bring all these aspects together and come up with Kenya Women in Logistics and Transport, which is now She Logistics, to ensure that we not only empower, but to integrate, and we see and we actually advocate for women in logistics to do much more than just clerical jobs. So when it comes to me and my experience as a salesperson, I've been in operations, I've been in the legal framework, I'm a leader at work. It's just bringing all these things to play, put them on a plate. Whatever is needed at whatever time is what I feed into the system. So working with government, working with NGOs, working with various sectors to ensure that we are able to realize the goals of women in logistics in the country. Yeah.
Can you walk us through your journey, the highs, the lows, and the moments that shaped you most?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't mushroom into the publishing world of Kenya through the mainstream, because for me, I belong more to the Kenyan corporate world than I belong to the writers of the country. And so really I was just writing a memoir of my dad. That is something that it was something that I needed to tick the box. I thought it was important for my children to be able to understand where they came from, and for anybody who would have just gotten inspiration from the book. And so at this point I had not learned what it is to actually write a book in this country, and what it means to be a writer or an author in this country. And so obviously I wrote the book, came up with a manuscript. So the process is usually you write, you come up with a manuscript, then you give your manuscript to a publisher. That is how it happens all over the world. So I wrote my manuscript, I took it to publishers in the country. All of them rejected it because the question that they were asking was, what sort of book is this? And first of all, it was my first book. It is my first book, right? So what sort of book is this? I said it's a memoir. A memoir is basically a true story. And the next question they would ask is, it's a memoir of whom? I would say it's a memoir of my dad. Who is your dad? I tell them the name of my dad. What did your father do? And then it's at that point that it gets complicated, because a lot of the autobiographies or memoirs are for very famous people. You'll see Obama, you'll see President Ruto, presidents, and what. Those are the kind of memoirs people buy. Nobody wants the story of just a kawaida person, a normal person. So that was my first challenge. So I took the manuscript to so many publishers. They all just flat rejected it. And so I decided, you know what, I asked myself, what can I do about this book? So an idea came to me to be a self-published author, that you can actually self-publish your book. What you just need to do is to get editors out here. There are so many freelance editors who previously worked in the publishing houses who have now made a career, a solo career out of just, the process. So what I did is I paid an editor to edit my book. I looked for a person to do the cover design. I looked for a person to do the design of it. It was just different people paying them and them coming up with this product until finally it was ready. And then the next thing was to go print it. That's the job again of a publisher. I had to go to what is called River Road to look for printers myself. Then once I printed the book, now it was there, I needed to sell it. So I was going through to bookshops. Again, the same conversation. What book is this? It's called Rough Silk. What is it about? It's a memoir of whom? Of my who is your dad? What did he ever do? Nothing. In that sense of celebrity life, politician, nowhere near there. But in terms of an ordinary life, extraordinarily lived, it is very, very remarkable. Nobody would buy that. So again, the bookshops, they just said, no, we can't stock this. Nobody's going to buy it. So what I did is I went to my social media page and I started marketing my book. And as we say, the rest is history.
Could you share the inspiration behind this marketing strategy?
So the first thing is creating curiosity. You have to create curiosity. People have to wonder, what is this? What is this? The moment you've created curiosity, you introduce it to the market. And the way you introduce it to the market, that is why we have launches. During the launch itself is a marketing. The people who are coming there, they're all your market. They don't know it, but they're all your marketers, you get. And so social media is a great, great place to do all these things, you get. So how do you create curiosity on social media? The Kenyans suffer FOMO, fear of missing out. You put something there and then you just don't explain, So what I did is I just took 100 of my friends, 100 of them, just told them, guys, post this tree and keep quiet, don't say anything. So in one day, there were 100 trees on social media. And guys looked at it and like, what is this? But people kept quiet. Then we used to do it like, if we do it today on a Friday, Saturday we rest, Sunday we do it again. So by the third time we're doing it, guys are like, what is this? What is this tree? And so people start asking, and then people just start posting the tree and they don't even know what it is, basically to be part of it. And people keep getting asked, what is this tree? What is this tree? Nobody can even explain, but I have some very good friends. I didn't have to explain much. And all of a sudden it was like 1,000 people posting the tree, and most of them do not know so it went viral like that. By the time it was reaching like a month, we had hundreds of thousands of people just posting a tree and keeping quiet. So that created that curiosity that, what is this tree? At some point I was called by the DCI because somebody was asked, and that somebody said, even me, I don't know what it is, but I was just told by a friend, you trust me, but just post it. There's nothing wrong with it. You will know. And people say, I just post it here. So it was stressed all the way back to me. And then they asked me, I told them, yeah, it's actually, there's nothing. It's nothing of national, security. It's a book we are launching. What is that book? I had to send a copy of Rough Silk to, the DCI headquarters. They were like, oh, okay. So why are you doing this? Why can't you tell people what it is? Then I told them my strategy. This book, nobody's interested in it because my father didn't win any awards, according to them, didn't do anything remarkable, but I think he did something remarkable. And so I'm trying to this is the first stage of marketing it. So the moment I showed up and said, okay, this is a book, you can imagine everybody now saying, oh my God, you guys, that thing was a book. So you see, this is creating awareness. And then eventually I say, okay, now we are launching the book. Everybody already wants in. Everybody already wants in. And that is why even before the book was out, when I announced the launch of it, 1,000 books just went like that, and I think at that point is when all these bookshops, started looking for me. Hi, could we stock your book and all that? Yeah, so that was basically the job. There are very many stages to sales. When you're a salesperson, there's the creating awareness. Then of course, we did a very huge launch. That launch itself was a marketing gimmick on its own, because it was the talk of town. It was the very first time we have a book launch that has a dress theme, that has You get somebody like John Sibi Okumu. He's extremely respected in the literary world, you know, as the person interviewing me and all that. It trended. So I knew I had to do that for this book. To do what? To sell.
What's one thing you feel the world misunderstands about African women?
The world still thinks that Africa is extremely patriarchal, to the point that as women, we don't have a voice. And not only don't we have a voice, even if we are given a voice, we will not use it because we are afraid, because we are still under a very patriarchal world. The world has changed. Our men are growing, they're evolving, they're understanding that we are human beings who also have a voice. So the men are giving us space and we are taking those spaces. Yeah, so a lot of the times when an African woman expresses themselves out in the world, it's always a shock to white women or the white world that, wow, this is an African woman. Like, did you, like, for me, for instance, when I go for interviews, the question that always comes up is, did you study at Oxford, at Harvard? Did you always, I'm like, yeah, all the way from primary to university, I've studied in Africa, you know, and they're like, wow, you know, it's something that they don't understand, how we can speak freely. But the truth is, men have given us space, but we've also taken this space and be expressing ourselves, yeah.
How do you break down complex geopolitical topics in a way that's easy to digest without oversimplifying?
I have a lot of love for history, a lot of love from childhood. I've always loved history. I love to know what happened. And that's why it was so natural for me to write a memoir, because that's history, right? That's writing a story that actually happened and it's the truth. I've always loved history because history repeats itself. You know, history repeats itself. If you study history, it always repeats itself. Even when you look at our politics here in Kenya, our history always, you can almost tell what's going to happen because history repeats itself. And for that, for us to be able to predict the future, we've got to be able to understand our history. The other reason why I love history is the world tries to hide history so that we cannot predict our future. And so for me as Tendo, it's my job to always bring out history to people. And that is why you find that sometimes even in school, the curriculums that we were doing, there are some of the things we are not being taught because this is just intentional hiding of history so that we cannot predict our future. Or when a pattern is starting to develop, we cannot say, no, this happened here and this is going to happen here. You get? So it's my job, the things that we are not taught in school, for me to write about them. Yeah, so geopolitics is something I'm very interested in, and it's extremely interesting. Every day something new is happening, and it's history for the next generation. Yeah.
What inspired you to start Career Tuesday and how has it evolved over time?
Career Tuesday, really, first of all, it's only natural that I speak about Career Tuesday. I'm a career woman. I'm a working class African woman in Kenya. I'm in the Kenyan corporate world. I'm a leader in the Kenyan corporate world. And the corporate world has been taken so much towards LinkedIn and not all these other social media platforms. And LinkedIn, if we are being truthful with ourselves, it can be very rigid. The language is very rigid. Everything is in bullet points. Everything is extremely serious. And the truth is, you guys, you're young, and your language is very different. How you communicate is very different. How you do things is very different. And so for me, I felt you people needed, because I'm followed by a lot of young people. I don't know why they look up to me. So I felt to give my space a chance to discuss the corporate world or the working class woman, and especially for young people. In the Career Tuesday segment, we discuss people who are doing well, success stories which you will never hear about. It could be a mama mboga who has done something really remarkable and will never make it to maybe TV, will never make it to news, but these are the kind of people that I give a platform on my timeline. That's number one. Number two is I give a platform to the very, very high-end execs. You'll find sometimes CEOs, of very big companies in this country that I interview them. We talk and then I write about them just to inspire you people. So basically, it is inspiration through and through, clapping for people. What is going on in the Kenyan corporate world? Which company has come in? Which company is closing? What is going on globally? Who has done a good job? Who is closing down? How is our economy affecting our jobs? It's all that. The working class woman, how do you balance being a mother and being, working? How do you balance being a wife and working? It's a myriad of topics that are our day-to-day lives as working class women. I would do it even if I was a business person, but I'm not a business person. So that is why it's a very chilled, relaxed environment for us to speak about work that is not very cutthroat like the way it is in LinkedIn, but mostly it's also to recognize people who wouldn't ordinarily be recognized anywhere else for the good job that they're doing. Yeah.
Your memoir, Rough Silk, begins under the Oto tree, where your father was born. How does that tree symbolize your family's legacy and your own journey?
Okay. Even without rough silk, trees are very significant. Trees are, they give us oxygen, they give us shade. Um, they have a whole philosophy to life, the root and fruit system. A tree has to have roots for it to stand and to grow, and for it to be healthy, for it to be able to produce fruits. So the author tree, it symbolizes a lot about what trees do and the significance of trees when you look at trees and in your own life. Our roots, what are our roots and what are our root systems? And how deep are our roots? And how well do we know our roots? If we are very conversant and very literate about our roots, then we can be very, very grounded people, and even our fruits are going to be very, very healthy. So there's a root and fruit system to it. The authority, as much as it happened, it signifies a lot. And you find even in the book, as we move on, he's born there. When we come to bury our mother, you find at some point we refer to it. When we come to bury our dad, we refer to it. Right now, when you go to my village, it's still there. And people still take photos. Right now, people go and take photos of that tree. It's become very famous. Like there was a road that was supposed to pass by there, and there were protests. People say, no, no, this tree is that tree that is in that book. You can't cut it. It signifies something. Yeah. So it means a lot to us as a family, because obviously that is where dad was born. But further than that, a tree, or the tree in rough silk, really embodies the root and fruit system. The root system is where the story starts, and the fruit system is who we are up to now. You're reading a book, you know. Yeah. So basically, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Climbing Mount Kenya and Kilimanjaro is a remarkable feat. What motivated these climbs and what lessons did you get?
Okay, so climbing Mount Kenya, I think I climbed Mount Kenya. I climbed Mount Kenya in 2019. Yeah, I was climbing it as a dedication to my father. I climbed it for my dad, really. They say mountains, you conquer yourself when you climb a mountain. Yeah, obviously by 2019, I had not written a book. I had a lot of psychological issues, problems, mental problems. I was just dealing with definitely a lot, finding a bearing and all that. And so I decided to climb that mountain for my dad. But the truth of the matter is I'm a very active person. As I've told you, I wake up every morning to go to the gym. It's not really about me being slim or me being trim. I like to move, but I'll also eat. So it's not about me looking like a model or anything like that. I have a passion for just moving. I have a passion for applying myself. So it was it was something that I was gonna do anyway. And then 2020, we had COVID. There was nothing happening. So you can imagine how crazy it was for me, a person who likes to move, to be just grounded in one place. What I said, what can I do that is different? I said, let me work out. let me train to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So I'd already climbed Mount Kenya. So what was the next thing that I was going to conquer in Africa? Like, why should I just leave it at Mount Kenya when there's something bigger around me? You get? So that's how I started training for Kilimanjaro. And it was quite a journey. The thing about climbing mountains, as people say, you conquer yourself. You'll go through a lot. You'll go through a lot, and a lot of it is mental, especially on the last night, the peaking night. People don't peak because they're the fittest or they're the strongest. We've seen even personal trainers, athletes who cannot even peak, and they work out every day. At that point, it becomes really mental. It becomes about your mental strength. And I learned a lot about myself, dealing with that mental strength, pushing, going when your whole body is telling you go back. And you're like, no, I have to finish. It taught me a lot about myself.
What do you hope readers who see their own struggles in your memoir walk away with?
If it were up to me, we are 40 million Kenyans, we should have 40 million books. Yeah, we need to hear everybody's story. So it was important for that book to be out so that everybody can understand that in their own ordinary ways, they're leading some very extraordinary lives. Two, the challenges that they're facing are not unique. People have faced those challenges and they have surmounted. The other thing is mistakes are things that happen, and there are people who pay for them heavily, and there are people who get away with it. They're all in the book. There are topics that have never been discussed in this country, like the HIV pandemic of the 90s. You are not born yet, probably, but it was a very dark period in this country. Children who are born in the 80s, like myself, we remember it very well, but it is a story that has been put under wraps. You know, the way Rwanda went through the genocide, and all the writers write about it. How Nigeria went through the Biafran War. You'll find Chimamanda writing about it. Chinua Achebe wrote about it. South Africans going through apartheid, the writers write about it. Things that happen in Kenya, we don't write about them. So the pandemic, the HIV pandemic, killed it did kill over 1 million people. That is a very huge number when you remove just 1 million people from, a demographic. And people don't write about it. And so Rough Silk is one book that has gone in depth talking about the HIV, talking about real human beings with real names who got the disease and who died of it, and has spoken about the children who are left behind us because of the HIV pandemic. Yeah, so it is something that Westerners, Luos, Luyas, Kisses, people who come from Western like to gloss over it, but it's something that is in the book. And I think that is why every 1st of December, World AIDS Day, I'm always called at the celebrations because of the impact of this book. When people living with HIV/AIDS read it and realize, my God, there was a time when this was actually a death sentence, but here we are alive. It tells them something about that. Then there's the spectrum of the children who are born with HIV, who are now adults like you. They're in their 20s right now, they're in their early 30s, to know what their parents actually went through. And also to just appreciate the orphans who are left in the wake, what we have had to undergo as that generation without parents, or actually watching your parents go through it. I've spoken about cancer. Cancer is in fashion in Kenya. And it can be a very lonely journey for the family, because cancer is not only an economic disease, it's not only a social disease, it's also economical. It's one of those diseases when somebody you are related to gets it, you guys are going to go broke. You'll go broke. It's extremely expensive. So it's one thing that a lot of cancer caregivers have said, wow, this book, and especially people who have traveled to India, because I travel with everybody to India, and I tell you what India looks like when you take a cancer patient.
How intentional are you about building a circle of women who pour into you as much as you pour into them?
To be honest with you, I'm half who I am because of the women who surround me. They're extremely powerful, extremely supportive, extremely understanding, extremely aware that I'm a human being. Yeah. Yeah, they allow me my mistakes, and They correct me with a lot of love, but very sternly. And I really love that. Yeah. I'm not surrounded by people who think that I'm a celebrity. They think that I'm a human being. Yeah. And when they're calling me out, they call me out, and when they're putting me to account, they put me to account. So a lot of also who I am is the sort of calibration that I get from women who surround me. Yeah.
How did academic success help you rediscover and reclaim your sense of self-worth?
Oh well, I think when you grow up in a slum in Kenya or in most parts of the world, it's a very hopeless situation because children aspire to their environment. If you're not able to see a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or a successful business person, you can't aspire to be that. You aspire to what you see. You aspire to be the shopkeeper because he's the most successful person. You aspire to be what you see. And that is the problem of living in slums. You can't aspire. And so for me, I think what the first light at the end of the tunnel for me was books. I was able to be exposed to books very early on. The Kenya National Library Service used to come around to Mathare with a truck, and we would a truck full of books, and we would sit and read. They would give them to us free of charge, and we would read. And I think it's from books that I realized, oh, so there's another side to this. And then when I went to school, I realized this is something that is easy for me. While people are struggling, this is something that is easy for me. And we do more of what we are good at, right? If you find that you're good in class, in academics, you do more of that because that is what is working for you. And so I think being a top student in class helped me. And when I went now to boarding school, I could see children from other, you know, um, societies, communities, social classes. I would see rich kids and I would ask, so what does your dad do? What does your mom do? And I would be aware, oh, so if you do this, then you're going to afford a car. If you progressively, until when you're in high school, now you're very much aware. You've read books, you can see TV, you can see people, and you know, oh my God, I have to go to school to be able to do this. And that is the sad thing about your generation. Going to school doesn't necessarily mean you're going to you're going to be something. I think it ended with now my generation. Right now, there's a lot more that is required. In fact, academics is not even, it's probably 50% of it for you to probably be able to navigate life. But whether you're going to live a fulfilling life depending on how you define being fulfilled, because it's success means different things to different people. For others, it means money. For others, it means a good health. So education doesn't necessarily guarantee all these things right now, but in our time it did, and that's why we really aspired to work hard to be who we are. Thank God it worked.
Football seems to be a love language in your household. Tell us a little more about this.
I was obviously raised by a man, and I was raised by a man who loved football. It's as simple as that, really. I was watching football. I was listening to football in the radio with my dad as early as 5 years old. It's in the book. And then we grew up watching football together, going to the city stadium together to watch Gore. Well, I was so obviously I'm going to grow up loving football. And so he was a Manchester United fan, and I definitely, because I'm very rebellious, I decided to support Arsenal, so that I was telling them we should have a debate. We can't all support the same team, we should have. So I ended up as an Arsenal fan, and it was a Manchester United, my dad, that is, was a Manchester United fan. And then eventually I got married to a Manchester United, fan. And oh my God, my kids love football. So I have Zola and Michelle, they are Manchester United fans. Our last born, he was a Manchester United fan, and then when the team wasn't doing well, he dumped them. He moved to Liverpool. So right now he's a Liverpool fan. So yeah, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Even our travel sometimes is dictated by football. We can do a trip, my husband and myself. And I think it's one of those things that bonds us, my husband and I, because we almost love the same things. like if there is a Manchester, we know we have a date to watch football, even at home, or we can say, okay, let's travel to London, let's go watch the derby, Arsenal versus Manchester, and we'll go there, So it is something that we have common conversations because we love the same things. And it's also in the entire family, So yeah, I love football. I love football so much. Yeah. And it has helped me even with my friendships. It influences a lot of the things that we do. Yeah.
What would you say has been your biggest achievement and your biggest L so far?
My biggest achievement, to be honest with you, has been being able to keep fit for as long as I have. Because everything that I do, I'm able to do it effectively only if I'm fit. If I'm able to wake up and just psych myself to go to the gym every day, I know there's so many other achievements that I've done, bestseller, head of commercial, patron of quilt. I mean, it's all these things, but I think for me, let's go back again to the root system. What is the thing that makes me be able to achieve all these things? It's good health. It's good health. And how do I achieve this good health? Being able to wake up in the morning and just going to work out and keep myself healthy. So I think my biggest achievement is just being able to psych myself up and do the right thing, go to the gym, work out, try and be healthy, to be able to show up for all these things. My biggest loss would probably be the death of my father. Yeah. I do not think it can ever go lower than that. Yeah. That was definitely my lowest moments. I questioned a lot. And I think it changed me. What I was telling you about. There are people who knew me when my father was alive, and then they know me now, and they always say it's like day and night. I became more quiet. I became more reserved. I became more private. Yeah, it changed me. So I would say my biggest loss was the loss of my father. Yeah.
What does excellence mean to you personally, and how do you strive to embody it in your work?
When it comes to my professional life, I think excellence is just empowering people. I like to see people move. I like to see people move and be even bigger than me, greater than me. Yeah, I like whatever team I'm working with to push people to go ahead, And so for me, excellence is us waking up, impacting people, empowering people, and ensuring they are greater than us. The most exciting things for me is to see somebody younger than me go and be greater than me. Yeah. So how do I embody it? I embody it by identifying talent in my group and ensuring that I mentor them, to drawing that picture to them, telling them, this is who you are, but this is who you could be. This is who you could be. And so because you're with me, I want to try and see that so that I can sit down and clap and say, wow, I was part of that story. Yeah, so that is it. Identifying talent, empowering it, and ensuring the person knows. Because sometimes as leaders, we know somebody's good, but we don't tell them. I'm very big on telling people, this could be you. Or telling them, you see where I'm seated, this could be you. Yeah.
Which music, book, TV show, movie, podcast are you listening to right now?
So I'm currently reading a book. This book is by a British writer. It's a very interesting book. This guy has, the way slave trade happened, where white people came to Africa, and then they took us. That is Americans. They came, they took us to America, and then we were slaves. It has been turned around. It's us as Africans who have gone to America and taken white people to come and work for us. And so it's, we are the ones enslaving white people. It's very narcissistic, but how the nuances of it, it's genius. It's amazing. So that's the book that I'm reading right now. And I also try as much as possible to read every month a Kenyan book. I'm reading Martha Karua. I think she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing Kenyan woman. She's had a great journey. And it's the book that I'm reading right now also alongside that. So I'm always reading 2 books at any given time, a Kenyan book and a book that interests my geopolitics or the things that I write about or that interest me. Memoirs, I'm very big on memoirs because I'm very big on real life stories. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading. What am I listening to? I love rumba. I'm always listening to rumba. I didn't succeed. One of our greatest artists, Kofi, launched an album, was it 2 weeks ago? I was very disappointed, so I'm no longer listening to that. I'm listening to somebody else, yeah.
Which song, album, or movie best describes your life and why?
This is going to be cliche, but Lemonade by Beyonce. I love, oh my God, I love how it transforms from the survival in it, the struggle in it. You can see Beyonce coming out eventually as a Black woman. When people have always thought she represents, she's hapo katikati. And there was no, at the moment Lemonade, there was no question that this is a Black woman. You know, the things she talked about, the things everything about that album was so revolutionary, put her somewhere as a Black woman that we couldn't ignore. It was specific, it was truth, it was daring, it was radical. It was very radical. Some of the things she sings about, it was really beautiful. And I said that if Beyonce didn't win Album of the Year with Lemonade, I don't know. Like they gave her Album of the Year with this, what is it called? This Country. There I was just like, no, Lemonade. Lemonade was the Album of the Year. So I think Lemonade. Lemonade is a story of rediscovery, survival, identity, radicalism, womanhood. It's a lot. Yeah, so I would say Lemonade, yeah.
Given a chance to collaborate with a brand or personality, who would it be and why?
I would love to have an interview with Michelle Obama. I would love to have an interview with Michelle Obama because she was at the pinnacle of being the first lady of America as a Black woman. Not Black, she was even more Black than Barack. Barack has a drop of white in him. She is the descendant of slavery and what it meant, what was on her shoulders, and even what she's doing right now when she decides, I'm not bowing down to the establishment. When there's a funeral and people are expecting her, then she just says, no, I'm going to the spa. I love that, and so she's somebody that I would like, it's not even a collaboration, I would like to talk to her. Yeah.